So have you ever heard of an ATS or an Applicant Tracking System? You may have seen an article that says an AI or a bot is screening out your resume. Well, the truth is that's not really what's happening. Most of these tools are really just trying to understand your resume and get the text so that they can be searched. The most important part there is that your resume is parsable and that the text can be extracted from your resume. And so eventually when a recruiter does type in a word like a particular skill or software, you show up in their database. Let's dive in and look at how that happens. Hey, I'm Dave Fano. I'm founder and CEO at Teal, where we make tools to help you run an awesome job search. This video is gonna be a little bit more exploratory and some testing. I haven't tested all these things in advance, but we're gonna do it together and we're gonna learn. So let's take a look. So here, let's look at a resume. And this is your standard vanilla resume. We're gonna test this resume on a parser. First thing we're gonna do is we are going to export this resume as a PDF. And we'll actually test it as both versions. We'll test as a Word doc and as a PDF and to see if there's any difference, because that's oftentimes one of the myths. You have to upload a doc or you have to upload a PDF. I have a pretty good feeling it's not gonna make a difference, but I wanna show you. All right, so let's go ahead and download it as a Word doc first. All right, so that's a docx file. Let's also go ahead and save it as a PDF. For this experiment, we're gonna be using a platform called Sovern. Sovern is a resume parsing engine. Sovern's kind of seen as one of the better ones out there. And so I wanted to go ahead and use their parsing API to see what happens to these resumes. So we're gonna come into this simple little resume parsing interface they have. We're gonna continue. You can sign up. I think you get like 100 parses for free and then you're supposed to upgrade. So let's test the Word document first. Go ahead and drag that into Sovern and see what it does with it. And let's view our parsed results. All right, so here we can see what Sovern did with that data. Let's see the contact info. What did it pull? So this was the single column resume. It's got my first name, last name, city, state, phone number, email, LinkedIn. It's got first name, last name. Notice that it kept the capitalization, so sometimes those things even matter. Phone number, email, and it did not pull my location. It did not pull that Tina's in Miami, Florida. So that's interesting, didn't get it for some reason. You can see up here what it has as the text, so it got it, and then it has an HTML version, but this is the Word doc, so let's keep note of that. The Word doc did not pull it, and when we look at the HTML version, it looks kind of different. Let's look at our employment history, and this seems to be pretty good. Company, position, I had 2 positions on Google, and that came in pretty good. Education's there, and then the skills are parsed pretty well. Right, it did some work to, here it shows original terms, and it does some clustering, but we just want to make sure it picked these up, and it did. So I'd say the Word doc worked fairly well. Now let's go and test the PDF. All right, so now we're gonna drag the PDF into the parser and see what happens. Let's see, so first name, last name, capital. All right, let's see what it looks like. It actually kept the formatting, did something weird with this line, didn't like that. Sometimes the ATS will give back a preview of the PDF. It might be the PDF itself. It might be the sort of rendered version. So this is generally why I recommend PDF over Word, is that you keep all your visual formatting, where the Word one, it sort of mungled it up a little bit. And then in the text, pretty much the same. We got all the same raw text. So we'll just kind of look through here. Yep, contact info is the same. Didn't pull in the city and state. All the employment information the same, education the same, and skills. Here it got 20 skills, where last time we had 19. So I'm not sure. I'll do a deeper dive in to see which one worked and which one didn't, but interesting. All right, so here we are with the skills side by side. And let's see, let's dive into this. Campaigns, direct marketing. Okay, retention management, groundwork, construction. Okay, marketing over here came through. Then we have advertising campaigns, branding, marketing strategies, brand awareness, automation on the right, and cooking. It pulled that from my interests. So it seems like the PDF has automation and the Word doc does not. That might have just been when the parsing algorithm ran. That may not be a result of PDF versus the Word. But there's something about that text that allowed it to, how that text was structured. And so I would give this one to the PDF. again, I would say like 100% and 99%. I don't think, but if automation was a word that the recruiter was looking for, marketing automation, and now I don't show up as a result, that's not great. So, given this test, I would say go with PDF. Now, the template itself makes a big difference. So let's try a 2-column. All right, so now we're gonna test a 2-column resume. And a lot of times you'll hear, use a 1-column resume. I'll say that myself, actually. Don't use a 2-column resume. I think generally tables sometimes have a hard time with parsers, and to get a 2-column resume in a document, whether it's Word or Docs or Pages, you need tables to get that, because the text doesn't naturally, it just wants to go line to line. So here's a 2-column template. This is actually the default 2-column template if you use one of the templates out of Google Docs. Let's go ahead and save this as a PDF, because now we know they're essentially the same. So let's just use PDF go forward here. So we're gonna drag our 2-column resume into the parser. Received it just fine. And let's view our parsed results. So, some of these, again, like I said, I'm less worried about those. Let's just look at the text real quick. So now you can see when it's a text, it doesn't handle 2 columns. So when you turn it into raw text, it's just gonna make it 1 column. Another test you can do for this on your own is open up a PDF, hit Command or Control A to select all the body copy, open up a text editor like Notepad or the Notes app in Text Edit, I think it's called, maybe on the Mac, and just hit Command V or Control V and paste in and see what text comes through. That's essentially what this view is. So name came through, all the text is there, skills came up first, so it's doing the right column first and then the left column. And then the HTML view, if we had done a Word doc, we would lose the formatting again like we did with the 1 column. But again, this is why I like PDF a little better. That all stays there. And our formatting looks pretty good. All right, so let's go back to our overview. All that information is about the same. Let's look at our contact info. No different. Capitalization, the 2-column template wasn't all uppercase, so that's there. And all our contact info is the same. The bullets are a little different. That might be because the margins on this document are a little bigger. But on the previous one, those were all stacked nice and tight. Dates came through, 1 job, 2 job at Google. Something a little funky is happening with the bullets on this one. All the copy is there, so it doesn't really matter. And then let's look at our skills. We got 18 skills this time. I'm not gonna do the side-by-side comparison, but interesting that it dropped off 2 skills. So look, I would stick by my recommendation. If you can avoid tables, just do it. Stick to 1 column. There's just things that it has to interpret. It doesn't know how to understand like the flow of the document. It just really makes it harder for the parser to then think about what's on the left, what's on the right. This is a very clean, simple 2-column resume. We will have one because oftentimes just people really want it. And it's not gonna, I think, like completely ruin your chances of landing the job. But I did want to show what it looks like, and it is slightly worse. Yeah. So the last thing I want to do is I want to show the effects of text boxes. And I haven't done this before. Like I said, we're doing this live real time. We're learning here together. Google Docs doesn't have the idea of text boxes, but Microsoft Word does. So here we've got a document where I've copied and pasted pretty much the same content. I didn't do everything. We've got enough to make sure that it works. So things like skills and things like that, we won't be able to check, but I'm just kind of curious at a high level what happens. So these are text boxes, right? So if you want to do like all sorts of funky designs and cool formatting, you need text boxes. Tables even start to break down at that point. And I might see people put images in boxes and things like that. So let's go ahead and export this document. All right, we'll do that as a PDF, best for electronic distribution and accessibility. And we will export text boxes. Okay, let's test our PDF here in preview. All right, so that looks good. Now this is a test I like to do. Can I select and highlight it? Seems like I can. So interesting, looks promising so far. Let's go back over to Sovern. Okay, so it received it. That's good, step 1. Sometimes it'll just say no, cannot accept document. Okay, years of experience look good. Let's see what happens here. Text is good. Text came through, bullets look good, and kept the formatting. Contact info's all there, didn't lose anything. And employment history. Okay, we lost the companies. Performance marketing position 1. It just made it generic. That was at WeWork. It lost it for some reason. Yeah, it doesn't know what company it took. It got the position and it got the, oh no, it thinks in performance marketing is the name of the company. And then the position title is director. And it's normalized the title as, okay, this is just work it's doing to try to codify it. That has nothing to do with the parsing. It mashed in the professional summary as the first job on the page. Part of what could be happening here as well is that for that Word doc is I did not put in headings. I did not put work experience. That's an interesting test we can also do at another time. It's like, do the headings help the parser understand which part of the text it is? Seems like that could be the case here. We can test that real quick. We'll do another version. All right, so these came in. So it started to understand these as work experience. So let's just go ahead and copy this word work experience, go back over to Microsoft Word. Not too worried about formatting here. I think sometimes what the parsers are doing is like just looking at proximity, using some kind of character recognition software. You know, every API is different and the algorithms they use. All right, so here we're gonna test the one with the headings and see if that makes a difference for the section detection. Let's go to our employment history and there we go. All right, so that's another interesting finding is the section headers really matter for the parsers to understand what kind of information is what. So even though a person could look at it and visually see that's obviously work experience, for the parsers, having that separation is pretty key. The more interesting thing here is that the text boxes were fine. You know, there's other formatting issues, like the bullets aren't that clean, but I don't think that would really affect the text parsing too much. And there shouldn't be too many skills because we're missing that whole skills section. These are the ones parsed from the work experience. It does go to show that skills from the entire document are looked at, which is really valuable. And that's why I like that skills section, because it's a way to get some more skills in there if you can't weave them in directly to your achievements and your bullets. Yeah, seems like text boxes are fine. Sort of debunked a little bit of a myth here that you shouldn't use text boxes. Now I could build a version that compares it exactly the same like we did with tables and we lost that one skill. Actually, we lost 2 skills. A lot of different tests we can do, but I'd say for the most part, it worked fine. Enough that I wouldn't really be too stressed about using them. So that was some fun exploration on looking at what parsing does and how parsing works. And it's not that a computer is using this information to automatically pick you. The majority of the time, I don't know because I don't know every single ATS, so I don't want to say it as fact, but the majority of the time it is a recruiter who is reading it. They're maybe looking at that preview version. They will search the database or the ATS and it uses the text in the resume to search. That's why I think Parse-ability is really, really important, but it's not automatically picking you. A lot of times when you get the automatic rejections, that's because you answered a question in the resume or a human being went and looked and you didn't meet one of the key criteria. So you could watch one of our other videos on dissecting a job description and how to look to be qualified. But here, the main thing we want you to take away is that being able to parse your resume is really important. And a lot of these myths that are out there are really just to scare you into buying software and services that help you do something that kind of doesn't matter that much. So PDF works fine, Word works fine, text boxes are fine. Just make sure it reads cleanly and that the text is legible and it's not images. So hopefully that's helpful and helps you write a better resume, stop worrying about a bunch of these myths, and helps you land that job you love. If you like this video, please like it and check out some of our other content. All right, best of luck. Thanks so much.